Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, a registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I'm really excited for you to meet this next guest. Her name is Alex, and she is a lovely client of mine. I don't have favorites, but I love them all. But I can't even say that. I love them so much, so I can't say she's my favorite, but I love her equally as much as all my other clients. And you're going to learn why. So Alex is here to kind of just share with you her journey with working with me and her experience and kind of, her struggles and how she's overcame them. And I'm really excited for you to hear from her. So Alex, welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast.
Hi, I hope everyone's doing well.
Yeah. So why don't you, before we kind of get into some questions that I have for you, why don't you just share with the listeners a little bit about who you are?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Alex. I'm a teacher. I teach social studies. I've been teaching in New York City for 14 years. I'm a mom of two wonderfully amazing little humans. My son is 7 and my daughter's 5. And I've been on this journey with Tony since January. And I'm really excited to share with you how my life has really just changed since I met this wonderful human.
Oh, so sweet. I'm super excited for them to hear it as well. So why don't we just start with having you share, what challenges or obstacles were you looking to solve? So how were you experiencing your life before deciding to work with me?
So I've been on a diet probably my whole life. Since I can remember looking in the mirror and deciding to go on my first diet when I was 6 years old. After having my daughter 5 years ago, I was on bed rest with my daughter for 3 months, and I gained a lot of weight naturally because, when you're not moving at all, you gain weight. But my goal at that point was to grow a healthy baby. And, luckily and thankfully I did. But I gained a lot of weight. And after I had her, it was very hard to lose that weight. It was, I tried a lot of the mainstream diets, a lot of the restrictions, a lot of the, different methods that anybody that came down the pike told me to try, from not eating at certain times to eating only certain foods and all that. And it just, it was really challenging, and I didn't feel like myself. I was about, I would say 20 pounds away from what I consider my own healthy weight, what I'm comfortable with. And it was really hard I just kept going up and down. I would lose a few pounds and then I would gain them all again. And then I would lose a few pounds. And then there was that whole mental part where I just felt really guilty every time I gained weight. I felt really good every time I lost weight. And it was just this roller coaster. It was an emotional roller coaster. It was a physical roller coaster. And I was just getting tired of it.
Yeah. And so what do you think wasn't working on your own? So I hear you saying that you were going up and down and you just felt like you were following other things, but what was it specifically that you think you kept trying to do and you weren't able to achieve on your own?
I think that I was really trying to restrict myself. Mm-hmm. I think that I thought that the way to lose weight is not to eat. Basically. Mm-hmm. I think, it's just this is how you lose weight. You just don't eat. Mm-hmm. And you work out a lot. And, for people that are active, that if you work out a lot, you actually need to eat. Mm-hmm. And so what was happening was I was really hungry. And then because I was working out, I had managed, as a full-time teacher, a mom of 2, I even went back to school. I'm in grad school. I was managing to squeeze 4 or 5 workouts into my week, but I was really hungry and I didn't know how to nourish myself. I don't think that and I don't think that it was something there was definitely an element of knowledge, like knowing what's good for me and all that. Like I definitely have learned that there are foods that are better for me than other foods. But I also think it was just a mental thing where I thought I had to like not eat, or not eat a lot. I had to eat a little bit and like not eat carbs and not eat after 7 and do all this different stuff. And I was just felt like I was constantly in a state of either being completely deprived of what I wanted or what I needed, and also being like, or then I was like the polar opposite of being like way too full and feeling really guilty about everything I ate. So I couldn't find like a happy medium.
Yeah. And a lot of people I know definitely struggle with that. So I guess the next question would be, what did we implement that was different than anything you've ever done before? And when did you realize that?
It was funny because the first time we spoke and like we did our whole, like I got ready for our call and I was like, all right, let's do this. I'm going to change my life like today, right? Like everything's going to change today. And you were like, you're going to do the plate method. And I was like, ooh, magic. What is that? Like she's going to tell me exactly what to eat. And you were like, half your plate of veggies, a quarter starch, and a quarter protein. And I was like, that's it? And you were like, yes. I remember asking you like, that's it? And you're like, that's what you're going to do this week. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound too hard or life-changing or wild or my whole world is going to be turned upside down. And I was like, well, okay, like Tony told me to do this. Like I signed up for this. I'm going to do the plate. And that one step, I think just looking at my plate and recognizing that, you know what, I need to add more veggies to my plate. And it sounds so simple and it sounds so easy and it sounds like something that doesn't everybody do that? Things just like started to take off. Things just, it was almost like a snowball effect. Like it was just like, I realized that, okay, it's a small thing that I'm doing, but everything just started to change, So that was huge. That was literally that one move changed my life. There were definitely like, talking about how to implement dessert and alcohol into my life, like, because those are things like I'm a normal adult, I'm a mom, I'm a teacher. Like, yes, I want to have a glass of wine. Yes, I want to have dessert. Side note, my dad's a baker, so I really want to have dessert. Like, I was raised with dessert. And just the conversations that we had around like, it's okay because it's just food. It doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make me a weak person. It doesn't make me a strong person. It's food. Mm-hmm. And if I want to sit down and have a piece of cheesecake with my family, I'm not going to feel guilty about that. I'm going to eat the cheesecake and I'm going to enjoy my family's company. Mm-hmm. And we had so many conversations about that. So many conversations about like, it's just food. If you want it, if you don't want it, if it's part of your day, if it's not part of your day, just roll with it, And I think that was a big thing for me because it, like, our culture really says certain foods are bad, right? Mm-hmm. Like carbs are bad or sugar is bad or whatever. So that was something that was just so amazingly helpful. And so it just really changed the way I looked at what was in front of me and literally what was being served to me or what I was serving myself. So that was part of it. And also, believe it or not, like when we were talking about fruit, for some reason I was like, I shouldn't eat fruit. Like it has a lot of sugar and all that. And you were like, no, you should eat fruit and you should eat like, and I love fruit.
Yeah.
And just being able to eat fruit again without feeling bad about it or like having too much sugar or whatever. It just, those were things that I wouldn't have done without you. So,
yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you realized, you started with thinking that restriction was the answer, but then you realized that actually, no, if I keep telling myself I can't have something, I'm going to want it more. I'm going to feel guilty about it. I'm going to have shame around it. And I need to learn how to incorporate all food so it can fit my lifestyle. Like you said, you want it to be able to eat with your family and not feel like you can't partake in what they're doing. And part of it too is not just like you said your dad's a baker, but your culture, it's like very related to food. I know mine is as well. Like, so it's something that, we definitely want to make sure that it all fits together. And I think the biggest thing that it's so funny because so many people say that same thing to me of like, oh, it's just that's it, like just this one thing. And it's like, yes, because this one thing is going to accumulate into many things if we are consistent every single week. But if we keep doing the all or nothing thing, we're just going to be right back here. That's what you've been doing before, right? So we can't expect to have different results if we keep doing the same thing over and over again.
I've literally tried almost everything that came down the pike, and it always ended the same way. I would lose a few pounds. I would be like, okay, I got this. But then I would see my family having a celebration, my kids eating an ice cream cone, and I couldn't partake. And I felt like I couldn't partake. Not like I didn't want to partake, but I couldn't. Like something was that. And then I would just go completely off the rails and ditch everything. And then I would feel bad about it. And it just, I don't want to, like, I didn't want to live like that anymore.
Yeah. It's a cycle. So just that vicious cycle. And so we were saying before, it's a snowball effect, but it's a positive one. Yeah. In which that we created. So proud of you. So I know I'm proud of you. What are you proud of? What are you most proud of? Like, we've achieved many things together, but what's the thing that you're most proud of that we've been able to do together?
If you asked me in January, if you told me in January where I'd be right this minute talking to you, how much I would weigh, what my fitness level would be, and what my day-to-day menu would look like, I would tell you in January that the thing I was most proud of was my weight loss. I'm proud of that. Obviously, I lost weight. Like, yeah, it's cool. But I am really proud of my mental state around food, about the way I look at food, the way I think about food, the way I treat myself when I sit down to eat. I am not guilty. I don't feel bad about eating things that I like. I don't feel bad about saying yes to something that I want to eat. And I am not going on a diet. I am not on a diet. And I am the most proud because I feel mentally the most like, I don't know what the right word is, but just like in charge of the way things are going to go. Like, yeah, I'm a plant, like all teachers are planners. Like if you have a teacher in your life, you know that they're going to ask you what the next week of everything is going to look like because, my poor husband, like he's so not a planner. And like, now I make him organize everything and he's just like, but I do plan my food. I plan my meals. I meal prep. Like I do those things because they make me feel good, but I don't feel like bad about food or good about, like, I'm just like, if I want to eat something, I eat it. If I don't want to eat it, I don't eat it. There are days that my family sits down and has dessert and I don't eat dessert because I ask myself, do I want to have this right now? And I'm like, no, I don't want it. And I can have that honest conversation. It's not, oh, I shouldn't because the scale was half a pound up or half a pound down or whatever, or I'm on a roll. No, it's none of that anymore. So I think my mental state around food, obviously like everything I've learned about nutrition and all that stuff is like amazing too. And I'm really excited like that I look at food and I know what's good for me and all that, but just like not feeling anxious or upset or angry or sad or mad about food, I think is really what I am the most proud of.
Yeah, that makes me so happy because if we were to put it into 2 words, it would be called food freedom. That is literally what you just described, which is what I want all of my clients to achieve when they graduate. So I'm so happy that you feel that way because that means that I'm most proud of that too. I think that's great. I'm doing my job.
You achieved your goal for me, right? Yeah.
So it's a win-win. So I always ask this question whenever I'm interviewing a client and doing a testimonial because I feel like, there's so many people trying to like sell you things and there's just so many people out there. You don't know who to believe or who to trust and all that stuff. So I always want to address this head on, because I feel like those who are listening are probably still thinking this, which is the skepticism. It's like, oh, well, it worked for her. How is it going to work for me? Or like, oh, that, all that stuff. So what I'm basically asking you is like, were you skeptical at first before starting the program?
Yeah, of course. Like, look, social media is amazing because like I found you through social media, but social media is like, it could be a beast too, right? There are so many things available to us on social media. Everybody has a solution. Everybody can tell you how to lose 20 pounds in a month. Everybody can tell you, everyone has a nutritional whatever. And I've been prey to it because I am on social media. So I sit and I read it and I scroll through it and I've seen all this stuff that people are trying to sell. So there's always that element of skepticism, right? Because, everybody's got an answer. But I do think that I was skeptical in that way because, I didn't know anyone that had worked with you, or I didn't, I wasn't really sure what this was going to mean for me, because you don't have a one size fits all plan,
right?
That you're trying to get me to buy into, you know what I mean? So it was like, I was like, there's nothing here. Like, what are we going to do? What's the plan?
Yeah.
Like, there's that planning element of it again, right? Or I'm like, what am I going to do? So that was hard for me to, understand like that it really is individualized attention. Like, people say that you're going to get individualized attention from some like machine or computer or whatever. And, so I had tried, I'm not going to say the name, I had plugged in my information to something that was going to give me an individualized plan. And that individualized plan told me to eat 1,200 calories a day. Now, for someone who's 5'10", who works out, a lot and runs after 2 kids, 1,200 calories a day, I knew from looking at that was not going to sustain me. I knew that.
Right.
And I got really frustrated. And I think that was like the last straw for me. I'm like, you don't no computer program. You don't know me, because I can't eat 1,200 calories a day. I'm going to like pass out. I'm going to be, I'm going to be hangry. Right. So when you and I spoke on the phone and you were like, I'm not going to tell you what to do right now because I have to get to know you so that I can make it more, I can individualize like what you have to do and plan out what you have to do. That's where it clicked for me. And that's where I was like, she really actually is going to get to know me. Yeah. Not the me in the numbers, like my height, my weight, my activity level, but the me, the mom, the teacher, the student, the wife, the, whatever. So
the warrior. You have so many responsibilities. This woman is just truly amazing. Like you master things. You're fabulous. Like you really are fabulous. So I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to kind of coach you, because I feel like this was that like missing link for you. You already are amazing. It's just the nutrition and the fitness and the fact that like you're no longer obsessing over it. It just allows you to do those things even better. It allows you to be present with it. It allows you to recognize it rather than, everybody else around you is recognizing how awesome you are. But in your head, you're so self-critical and so worried about your food and your workouts and all of these things that I'm just so grateful that you can finally see what everybody else has saw in you, because we made those small changes that led to big changes over time.
No, it's amazing. And the other thing, like one other thing is that like as a parent, as a woman, I remember looking at my mom, and this sounds so cliche, but because there's so many memes, right? Of the little girl looking at her mom who's looking in the mirror. But I looked at my mom who was looking at herself in the mirror, and she was squeezing her belly and squeezing her thighs and turning around and just had that critical look on her face. And I, felt bad. And I thought, my mom's so beautiful to me. Like she's a beautiful woman, and my mom is like a strong woman, and my mom has carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. And when I think back to her feeling bad about herself, and then me feeling bad that she felt bad about herself because she didn't see what I saw in her. And I don't want my kids to see that about me. And I see my kids looking at their bodies right now, right? My son's 5 and my son is 7 and my daughter's 5. And I see them starting to look at their own bodies, and my son's starting to look at his like tummy, and my daughter's like looking at her face. And I want them to see in themselves like what I see in them. And I see them as like, you know, these most perfect little humans, these perfect little bodies and everything. But I know that if I'm looking at myself critically and restricting myself and not happy with myself and all that, you know, they're gonna internalize that.
Yeah.
And they're gonna think that that's how they should look at themselves. Mm-hmm. You know, and I want them to see themselves for like how I see them, right? Like, you know, like, I know, like I'm a mom, right? And they're like, my kids are perfect. No, but they are, and they're beautiful, you know?
They are.
And I want them to see themselves as perfect, but I know that I have to act like I have to truly believe that I'm beautiful and that I'm worthy of like positive, like looking at myself and being cool with myself in the mirror. I'm worthy of that. And they'll internalize that too. Right. And it's just like, it's been really like, I want them to feel good about themselves. And so, you know, you ask my kids, my son said to me, he's like, maybe I should go on a diet. My tummy's sticking out. And I said to him, I was like, are we on a diet? Is anybody in this house on a diet? And he was like, no. I was like, what do we eat? He's like, we eat. He's like, we eat healthy food because it's good for us. And I was like, but do we eat sweets? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, so no, you don't need to go on diet. You're fine. Like your tummy holds your food.
Yeah.
So when your tummy has food in it, it's holding your food, and you can go run now because you have energy. And he was like, oh yeah. And you know, and you ask my daughter like, what's mommy? And she'll say, mommy's strong. And that's like that's, you know, I didn't realize how important that was because like when I was first trying to lose weight, they were little, but now I see them, they're watching.
Yeah.
So
they're watching, and like, I'm getting emotional because like, no, I'm just trying not to cry. I don't know, you guys can't see this, but well, maybe I might post this on YouTube, but because that's what I don't think people recognize is that first of all, everyone is watching, not just your kids. Before you were sharing how, I think a friend of yours is now going to be doing a half marathon. You're doing a half marathon together because you started running, and now she's been watching you running, and it's very motivating. It's very inspiring. So I think that at the end of the day, we have to do this for ourselves. Like, you needed to do this for you, right? Because if you try to do it for other people, it's just not really going to be sustainable. It's going to fall flat. But because you did it for you, now you're being that role model, and people are watching, your kids are watching, and it's literally it's helping you break the cycle. I had a client ask me the other day, she's like, you know, my mom, I grew up very similar in what you just shared. She's like, you know, I know that I have these issues because my mother had these issues, and I don't want to pass that on to my daughter. What can I do differently? And I said, just keep working on yourself, keep healing your relationship with food, and just keep leading by example. That is going to be ultimately, yes, the way that you handle that situation, the way you talk to them, you know, the way you present food to them, like, yes, that stuff matters. But what you do matters so much more than what you say. Yeah. So much more. And so so thank you for sharing that. I think that is really, really awesome. And I'm happy to hear that they're watching, they're seeing. And, you know, you said when you were 6, that's when you went on your first diet. Yeah. So they're 5 and 7. They're around that age where if you're not talking about it, if there's no intervention, you know, then they're easily going to be molded. Yeah. And I literally am so like, I want them to feel good about themselves, but like, I want to feel good about myself too, you know? And so like, you know, the whole conversation we've had about like full body pictures, right? Like I am in the pictures. I'm okay with the pictures. I look in the mirror and I'm not looking for flaws anymore. I'm, you know, proud of how far I've come. And I can say that in my 38 years on this planet, I've never been able to say that ever. And I want to, you know, that's like, if not for anything, we deserve to be proud of ourselves and feel good about our bodies. Like, we deserve that, you know? And I think that that's really like
being able to do that is really what I'm so grateful to you for that.
Yeah. God, I'm grateful for you. You make, this is what I live to do. And you're just like letting me do that. It's so awesome. So to wrap it up, I know a lot of people have expressed interest in working with me. A lot of people listen to this podcast and they probably are kind of where you were before, which is like knowing you want to change, being a little skeptic, not sure if it's going to work, maybe worried about the investment, whatever it is. So what would you say to someone who's interested in joining but is a little bit on the fence?
I think I would tell them to take a minute and just talk to you. Just talk to Tony, talk to Tony, really, because, I've definitely had to make some sacrifices. I've had to, put some money aside and do some thinking and planning. But you are your greatest investment. You are your own greatest investment. Your body, your mind, and just feeling good and feeling like, you deserve all the good things that this world has to offer is like your greatest investment, because then you can do everything that you want to do and everything you set out to do for other people. Mm-hmm. Once you invest in yourself, it's a whole different, it's a whole different ballgame, and you can do all of the things. Mm-hmm. So I would just say take a minute, think about it, but talk to Tony, think about how important it is for you to be able to, really just, take what you need to just feel good and feel good about yourself and feel right with who you are. And you deserve that freedom. That's it. That food freedom. We deserve that. Mm-hmm. Whether it's too much, it's too little, it's whatever. You deserve to just feel free of these constraints that society has put on us about how to eat and what to eat and when not to eat, when to eat, and all of that. You deserve to be free of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And to just feel good about who you are intrinsically and who you are physically, Mm-hmm. So just talk to Tony.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I think that's so true. And and I think the biggest thing I always tell people is think about what you just said. For 38 years, you were never able to have this sense of freedom and positive body image. And in 6 months, we were able to change that. So let's just think about, right? Let's think about that for a minute. 6 months compared to 37.6 years, 30.5 years, right? It really is something that I think people need to realize is that time is money. Time is, we don't know when we're going to get more of it, right? And then and at the same time, we really don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but at least we want to know that we tried our best and we had the most quality, rich life that we possibly could.
It's true. And you've also built a really amazing community too. Oh. Your Tips with Tony, crew, from the people that are working with you to us, your clients, mm-hmm. Bringing us together. I also feel like I have this support system too, and that's a whole other, there's just so much bang for the buck, literally, it's just, there's so many different elements, there's the community, there's the conversation, there's the support, there's the accountability, there's the planning, I always have, I have you by my side, mm-hmm. Virtually, which is the best way ever, because you're always there and I don't know how you sleep, but I have you by my side. And sometimes when I'm not feeling 100%, just knowing that I have you to give me the nudge or support me in what I'm trying to figure out, it just makes a world of difference.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Is there any last minute things that you want to add, or questions or comments or anything before you wrap up?
I don't think so. I think we went over everything. I'm really grateful to you. And I really am in thinking about what we were going to talk about, I was just the only thing that just kept coming to my head is I'm never going on a diet again. I'm never spending another time on another bad diet or another anything, because I just, like, I feel normal. This is my new normal, right? What we said, right? My new normal. I feel nice, and I can go put my energy and my focus into, like, the things and people that I should be putting my energy and focus into, and not like my mental state about food. So
absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I didn't ask you this before, so it's totally okay if you don't want to, but do you want to share maybe where people can find you? I know you're a teacher and your account might be private, so.
Oh yeah.
Is that okay? Okay. I was like, wait, I should have asked this before. No, so maybe if someone wants to reach out to you and maybe ask kind of your experience or just provide feedback or, whatever.
Absolutely.
So maybe just share where people can find you.
So my Instagram, oh my gosh, I wasn't prepared for that.
Sorry, I forgot that part.
I'm not Insta famous at all. I follow like famous people and my friends, but nobody and Tony, and then Tony, you count as a famous person.
Oh.
And then nobody follows me. Okay. So my Instagram handle is Alexandra K, but with the instead of an E, it's a 3. So it's AL3XANDRAK.
Awesome.
So you can follow me on Instagram.
I'll put that in the show notes so people can just easily
totally
follow.
Message me. I'm all about talking, Tony. I'm totally into it.
You're so sweet.
Love talking about all this stuff and sharing the wealth, because honestly, you've just really given me a bunch of wealth. So I'm ready to share. So
you're so sweet. Thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate you taking out the time to do this. I look forward to continuing coaching you. Alex just signed up for another 6 months. So I'm super excited. So now we can now that the relationship with food has been healed and you're just you're in a groove, it's really just driving those habits home. It's now helping you train for your half marathon. It's just keeping you going. The accountability, the support. I'm super excited. I cannot be more excited to continue working with you. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. All right, guys. Thank you. Oh, yeah, you're so welcome. For anybody listening, if you're interested in working with me, you can go to www.tipswithtony.com/coaching. Currently, as we're recording this, I am at capacity, but spots do open up, I would say, every few weeks or so as people start to graduate. So it doesn't hurt to apply. Like Alex said, we can just have a conversation. Could be on my radar, and we'll, if it's a good fit, I'd be thrilled to be able to create more Alexes or help, and, more, powerful moms and teachers and role models, and I'd be honored to. So www.tipswithtony.com/coaching. If you're not already subscribed to the podcast, definitely hit that subscribe button. If you like this episode, feel free to share it on your story, tag me, tag Alex, share it with someone that you love. And I think that's really it. So thank you guys so much for listening. As always, I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.